today. So we put all the poems that everybody submitted. We all together have 12 participants to read aloud today. And the way we're going to, and by the way, can anyone say the Chinese read aloud together? 怎么说？
就是一起朗诵。
朗诵，
朗诵，对对对，一起朗诵。
Together, read aloud.
Together, read aloud. Yeah, 谢谢大家. So here, yeah, I will skip that. I just hope we could do this at China Institute at some point. We can do an even blend version, have people on site and also joining online, and it will be really fun. So today we altogether have 12. 我们有12位朗诵者. I will ask my colleague to choose a random number, and then the name will appear, and that participant will read the poem. We will have the poem in both Chinese and English on the slide, so that we can all be in this together. So maybe I will ask Yanjie.
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry
now.
for the big Wi-Fi there.
So can you choose the first number?
Sure. Since 4 is my lucky number, so I will prefer 4.
Okay, 好的，那我们看看4号是谁？哦，我们的女高音音乐家何凯丽 ，Carrie. All right, so here is, go to, all right, Carrie.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello. It's nice to see you all virtually. So this poem that I chose is by Zhang Ji, a Tang era poet. 枫桥夜泊. So this is the docking at the Fengqiao at night. And the reason I chose this poem is actually it's very interesting. The first 2 lines have very different translations, very different interpretations. So I'll read out should I start with the Chinese or the English?
The Chinese, please.
Okay. So I'll read the Chinese, and you have the opinion there. And then I'll talk about the difference in interpretation of the first 2 lines of the poem. 月落乌啼霜满天，江枫渔火对愁眠。姑苏城外寒山寺，夜半钟声到客船。
哇，谢谢。I'm trying to figure out how to put my applause up there. Yeah. Yeah, so 凯丽，那你说一说这个英文解释好吗？
Okay. So I saw an English translation on a website, and I didn't like it very much, to be honest, so I made my own. This is the one that I reorganized. Descending moon and crow cries fill the frosty night. Maple trees and fishing lights witness my fitful sleep. From Hanshan Temple, outside Gusu City, the toll of its midnight bells reach the boat below.
I love your version. Yeah.
Thank you. So the controversy, I would say, about first of all, this is Zhang Ji's one of his most famous poems. And if you look at the first two lines of the poem, 月落乌啼, the first four characters, it could be interpreted literally as the moon descending across the sky, sort of late at night. And then uti is literally the sound of the crow cry. But there's also another interpretation that 月落 is the name of a village and uti is the name of a mountain. So depending on how you interpret it, it's either the literal moon and cries of the crow, or it's describing the place where this scene takes place. And in the second line of the poem, 江枫渔火, 江枫 could either be the maple trees that are by the river, so jiang being river and feng being maple tree. There's also the name of a bridge called Jiangfeng Bridge. So again, depending on how you, and it also could be that these characters in the first and second lines of the poem have both meanings. They're encompassing both the place and the nature scenes that are depicted. And I just think that a lot of us are sort of in turmoil right now because of the pandemic. And so this sort of was very poignant to me because of the fitful sleep in the second sentence, second line of the poem, 愁眠, so that sort of insomnia where you're sort of tossing and turning and your mind can't stop racing. So I thought it, even though this is a Tang Dynasty poem, that it was very fitting and sort of reflected a lot of the sort of angst that a lot of us feel.
Thank you. Thanks so much for sharing and also sharing your thoughts. Yeah, indeed, while something that's from hundreds of years ago was still relevant to what we are experiencing. And while that's I feel, the power of poetry that speaks to people's heart from across the time. So now, Carrie, I actually would invite you to choose, let's go back, your lucky number, and
okay.
Then we will reveal the next reader.
Okay. Let's choose number 9, because that's the regal number in China, that's the dynastic number. The imperial number, number 9.
好的，9，我们看看9是谁。好，Olive, Karen. Hold on, sorry. Yes, sure. Olive, are you here? Can you hear us?
Here we are.
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you figured out your camera.
Well, we had to switch computers.
I see. 好的，那我们到你选的 poem.
This is Lu Jai by Wang Wei. I chose this poem because I thought it was wonderful. It was so spare and so brief, and yet it had so many important ideas within it. It brought out a great deal of Buddhist thought, and it reflects a lot of Buddhist philosophy. So, 空山不见人，但闻人有香。梵景如森林，复照青苔上。The first word, even the first word, kang, meaning empty. Empty is a very important word in some Buddhist doctrines, and it refers to the insubstantiality, the impermanence of things. And it's talking about a mountain. So what could be, in most people's ideas, more permanent or solid than a mountain? But even a mountain is empty in that sense. And then it says, well, we don't see anybody. There's nobody there. and it really refers to the idea that even people and personalities are impermanent, that we don't have what's called an essence that would, transcend time. And when one meditates in that setting, one meditates on non-self. It's the idea of non-self. So the voice that's heard, I think since this poem refers to the Buddha's first sermon, the first preaching in the deer park, is the Buddha's voice to the 5 people whom he was trying to convert at that point. They were ascetics and he wanted to bring them into the middle way. And as they heard this preaching, the lightness and the understanding shone on them and they adopted it. So this is really the story of the first preaching and the reaction to it. And Wang Wei was a great follower of a particular sutra. And he named himself actually after that sutra. He called himself Wang Wei Mojie, and after the Vimalakirti Sutra. And the sutra is, in some sense, one of the bases of Zen. And it really says there is nothing you can say about anything ultimately. And so silence is the best description.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And also, I feel I learned something new about this poem every time I read it and I hear your interpretation. It's beautifully put up there. Thanks, Karen. 好的，那我们现在，那 Karen， 你来帮我们。So your turn to pick your lucky number.
My lucky number is 8.
8，8是在 So Joanne.
8.
Joanne, are you here? Can you hear us, Joanne? So if you can remember to unmute yourself, it will be great. Or you can turn on your camera too. Is Joanne here?
Okay. I'm fine.
All right. So it seems Joanne may have some technical difficulties. And Karen, you have to pick another number. Oh, please unmute yourself. Karen, please unmute yourself.
3. 3的
Yeah. That looks like half of 8. All right, Annika.
嗨，大家好。
Annika 好，这是 Annika 的诗。
I will do it now.
So this is a poem by Read-Aloud Wang from the Tang Dynasty at the age of 7 years old. 7. So, 用去向天阁，白毛浮绿水，红掌拨清波。And this is my favorite poem because it's like you can feel the excitement of seeing a goose. Like, you know, I have an English translation is goose, goose, goose. You bend your neck and sing to the sky. White feathers floating on green water. Red webbed feet stirring the clear ripples. It was a very short and simple poem, but it's my favorite.
Yeah. Thank you. And also note, well, thanks for also sharing that it's by Read-Aloud Wang at age of 7. Yeah, just looking at the last 2 lines, it's a perfect pair. That the color of the goose and the like 白毛, the white feather, and then matches 红掌, the red palm or the red feet. So it's even at that age, well, this poem, even as simple as what you mentioned, well, it's a perfect example of a Tang Dynasty poem. 谢谢。
谢谢。
好的，安妮卡，那你来选一选你的幸运号码。
I'm going to pick Wu, number 5.
我都不知道5是谁，我们来看一看。Serena. Hello, Serena, are you here? Can you unmute yourself? Let's see. Just give another. Yeah, so maybe Annika, you have the chance to tell us your second lucky number.
R.
好的 Tony.
你好。
你好 Tony.
你好，你好. So I picked this poem because of the very last line of it, and I'll explain it after I read it. 昨夜雨疏风骤，浓水不消看旧。试问卷帘人，觉到海棠依旧。知否应是绿肥红瘦. And it translates to, last night the wind blew hard and the rain was fine. Sound sleep did not dispel the aftertaste of wine. I asked the maid rolling up the screen, the same crabtree tree, same crab apple tree, she says is seen. But don't you know, oh, don't you know, the red should languish and the green must grow. And it's the red should languish and the green must grow portion of this that I really like, because it's a part of the season that we're in, that we're, we've obviously come out of winter, we've come out of spring at this point, and we're into summer, but also the signification that all things change. It's red, maybe it's not great for you right now or any of us right now, but it's going to change over time because everything does. That's it.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
You're
and
welcome.
it's great also to hear everyone find how these poems, from a different time, a different culture, but still, can have that kind of relevance to our fleeting moment. So Tony, please, your lucky number.
11.
11. 好的。Jim, can you hear us, Jim?
Yes, 大家好。
你好。
你好，
好的，这是 Jim.
This is good timing. I'm reading the same poem. What I liked about it, though, was really not so much the meaning, but just the sounds and the tones and the rhythm. It just kind of rang true to my ear, just had a very pleasant sound. So that was really what first attracted me to it. Ru Meng Ling by Li Qingjiao. 昨夜雨疏风骤，浓水不消残酒。试问卷帘人，觉到海棠依旧。知否应是绿肥红瘦. Now, the last line, I wasn't quite sure what it meant, and when I went online, apparently I'm not the only one. There's a lot of different interpretations. But one thing I'll mention is the line with the crabapple tree, Hai Tong. You mentioned that in class, and there was another interpretation that I saw of that line that says, the flowering crabapple is dependable like an old friend. So I thought that had a little bit of a different meaning, a little different, maybe the same, but a little bit of a different point of view, and kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, indeed. Well, thank you for bringing it up, because it's through this journey, I feel one message we've been trying to discuss and also share is, everyone could have a different interpretation of a poem, because it really is opening up the possibilities of how we as the reader can relate ourselves to the meaning of it. And it's also related to the linguistic, cultural, and historical meaning of the poem itself. Yeah. 好的，那 Jim, just give me 1 second to choose your lucky number.
I'll go with sure.
10.
Sure.
PAULA.
Right. Hi. 大家好,大家好. I chose the poem Fragment by Bian Zilin. Yeah, he was a poet, apparently of the modern age level, right? Because he lived from 1910 to 2000, so I was thinking kind of modern. Died very recently. Anyway, I chose this poem because I thought the singing was very pretty, it was very nice and pleasant, and the words, they were very simple and clear, concise, and explicit. So I was looking at the words, I did recognize most of them. The new word I wasn't sure about was zhuang shi, decorate. That was a new word to me. But I also felt it was a very personable poem because it's always you, so the person who's reading it is kind of involved with the poem also. It dealt with the person itself. So it was very personal and a pleasant poem. Okay, so I'll read it now. 你站在桥上看风景，看风景的人在楼上看你，因为装饰了你的窗子，你装饰了别人的梦。And so the English version, you stand upon the bridge to look at the landscape. A landscape viewer upon the tower looks at you. The moon decorates your window. You decorate other people's dreams. Very short and concise poem, but it seemed to have a lot of meaning, a lot of personal meaning in it. Okay.
谢谢. Yeah, it is one of the very few modern poems that we chose for the series. And it's actually at the historical moment that vernacular Chinese was, during that moment, was promoted. And also a lot of the poets at the time, at Bian Zhilin's time, started to write poems not following the examples and formats that's set by Tang Dynasty.
I have a question about this poet also. Was he able to freely write his poetry because China was going through a lot of turmoil during that time, the 1930s and 40s? He was able to, he wasn't arrested or anything like that?
No. Yeah, this is his poem, and he actually, along with many other writers and poets, were writing poems like this.
And they were okay though? The communists didn't try to stop them?
This poem actually was written before 1949. But that's also not the reason he was able to write it, because this poem, even though opens up all different ways of interpretation, it's not for any reason to be politically sensitive. Yeah. 好的，我们 So PAULA, what's your lucky number? Well, you don't have many choices now.
E.
E. Oh, I'm surprised. Actually, no one has chosen number 1 yet.
Oh.
好，我们看看Eve or so let's see. Can you unmute yourself? Are you here? Yeah, 我没有看见在这个 I don't see the name yet. All right, Paula, second chance.
Leo.
Leo. Adela.
Hi.
Hi. All right, just 1 second. I'm going to. Oh, how interesting.
Yeah.
好的, Adela, all yours.
Oh, okay. I mean, I chose this poem because I thought, well, I'll read it out loud first and then I'll say it, but it was so nice and I loved the video. I watched it over and over again, your interpretation of it. So thank you. It's called Fragment by Bian Zhilin. And right, so 你站在桥上看风景，看风景的人在楼上看你，明月装饰了你的窗子，你装饰了别人的梦。
好，谢谢. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Well, your interpretation.
I really like this poem because I read a lot of old Chinese poetry. Like I have a lot of books on that and I just love them. But I noticed that this poem sort of plays around with old things. It's like, I know a lot of Chinese poetry has like interpretations like views of the moon and oh, look at the moon and all of that and like Li Bai and things like that. But I like really the last 2 lines are my favorite. It's kind of like a play on the moon kind of poetry, but then he's also sort of complimenting you in a way that you are also decorating other people's dreams. It's not just the moon that is beautiful. It's maybe you, I don't know if it's like you as an individual, but you as a person you are also a decoration in a sense, and you're a part of someone else's dream. It's not so much looking outside, it's looking at the person inwards as well. I really like that sort of different look, and he does it in the first 2 lines as well. You look upon the bridge to look at the landscape, a landscape viewer upon the tower looks at you. It's again looking back at you, and sort of you're the entertainment, you're the picturesque thing. And I've never really seen that before in other poems, especially the old ones. And yeah, I think even the old ones, they focus on maybe friendships, saying goodbye to someone at a gate, or remembering someone from the past. But this one is like kind of looking at you in the present, and that you're the special thing. So that's why I liked it. It was interesting.
Thank you. And as what you're saying it, well, note, like for everyone who have really looked at all the poems that will be read, this is a poem actually has a pronoun in it. All the ancient poems, the tradition is, well, there's no pronoun. There's no I, no you, no him, nobody. Maybe in the title, Song Meng Haoran, that's the friend, the name is there. But the poem is all about, well, the moon, the mountains, and all of that. But in this modern poem, well, we indeed have a pronoun there that changes the perspective of the reader and the poem. 谢谢. All right, let's go back. I guess we have, well, number 12. Oh, did we? I think, well, maybe I clicked the button wrong. I feel, well, we have 2 readers left, in fact. I just see John. John's name is already here, so maybe I will just call him, and I will give Adela, well, then we have the we have the last number 12 to reveal. So perhaps, Zhang, could you go ahead? Are you here? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, let's go to your poem.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Can I? The box is blocking me, so I'm trying to clear it. There we go. Okay. So the reason I chose this poem is, you know, it speaks to me. It's very powerful. What interests me about it is, you know, it says, you know, Tong Min Tian Chi, from tomorrow, not, you know, Tong Shin Zai Chi, right? So he talks about, it's kind of like a universal truth. Everyone wants happiness, wants to simplify their lives. I think, you know, all normal human beings want these things, right? But they're obviously very difficult. And, you know, instead of saying from now on, I'm going to do all of these things, he says from tomorrow, right? And in poetry, you know, tomorrow kind of never comes, right? There's always tomorrow. And that's kind of how, you know, I often feel about life, trying to simplify my life. And I'm going to do all these things tomorrow because it's not an easy thing to do, because life doesn't allow you to do it. So that's the rationale for choosing the poem. So here we go. It's Mian Chao Da Hai, Chun Wen Hua Kai, Zhe Hai Zi, Tong Min Tian Qi, Zhe Yi Ge, Qing Fu Da Ren, Wei Ma, Pi Chai, So Yo, Shi Jia, Tong Min Tian Qi, Guan Xing Yuan Shi He Shu Tai, Wei Yo Yi So Fan Zi, Mian Chao Da Hai, Chun Yuan Hua Kai, Tong Min Tian Qi, He Mei Yi Ge, Qing Ren Tong Xing, 告诉他们我的幸福，那幸福的想念告诉我的，我将告诉每一个人，给每一条河，每一所乡处，每一个温暖的名字。陌生人，我也为你祝福，因为你有一个疼人的人，疼人的全程，因为你有情人忠诚。
Sorry. Whoops. That's the important line. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll pick up at the beginning of the line. So, 因为你有情人忠诚专属，因为你在城市获得幸福，我只愿面朝大海。Thank
you. Yeah, I apologize for that. That is an important line for the happiness in life.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. So let's go back. Well, since we only have the last reader, I will reveal the name. Andie. Andie. Can you unmute yourself? Can you hear us?
听到了。
好的。
所以今天我会读断章卞之琳。你站在桥上看风景，看风景的人在楼上看你。明月装饰了你的窗子，你装饰了别人的梦。So the reason I chose this one, similar to what Paula explained, I really thought it sounded very pretty. And while reading it, I actually can imagine myself like on the bridge looking at the landscape, and it's just very actually peaceful and soothing to me. So that's why I like it a lot.
Thank you. Obviously, this is a popular poem among us. We had 3. Yeah. And also Bian Zhilin would be very happy that, well, his poem beats all the great Tang Dynasty masters' poems and becoming our favorites by vote. 好的. Oh, I see Kylie raised a hand. Kylie, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I was wondering if for any of these poets, either during the Tang Dynasty or the more modern poets, if there was any commentary from the poets themselves about their poetry, and if they gave any explanation or context to what they wrote.
Well, there are books about the poems. Well, we need to do a little bit more research to know the exact book. I mentioned last session the 19 ways of looking at Wang Wei. Well, it's not Wang Wei talking about his own poems, but the other writers and translators talking about his poem. Well, there is a great book by Wang Guowei, who's around the early 20th century, looking at the different, mostly 词. It's called 人间词话. The top, well, there could be some different translations. It's just right this moment off the top. I would translate the title as The Talk of the 词 Poem in the World by Wang Guowei. That's also giving more explanations and looking at from the aesthetic perspective, the Chinese 词 poem. But again, it's not by the poets themselves. So I will stop sharing. And well, that's all for today. All right, so I guess before the summer officially starts next week. Yeah, this is a wonderful way. Yeah, you shared with us and we are sharing this moment with you. Yeah. 好的，谢谢. Have a wonderful summer and we'll stay in touch. Stay safe and stay in touch.
Thank you.
谢谢。
好的，
谢谢。
好，再见。
Bye bye everyone. 再见。
再见。再见。
拜拜。
嗯哼，
拜拜。
再见。嗯哼。
再见。